trip had just wrapped up. 6 days with friends, partners and my brother. Our annual end of the season tradition that had confirmed southern Spain as the perfect late and early season destination. But there was unfinished business. Portugal had been on my radar for months. The plan was always to extend our season by offering tours in southern Europe when Central Europe is still frozen or already shutting down for winter. Andalusia would anchor the early spring tours, but Portugal? Portugal was the wild card. The Grand Tour option for riders who wanted more time in the saddle, more diversity and a proper 2-week adventure to start their season. So while the crew headed home, I kept going, solo. Just me, a BMW R1300 GS and 8 compressed days to test the routes, confirm hotels and make sure every piece of this brand new tour would flow exactly the way it should. This wasn't a leisurely exploration, it was a focused scouting run. I had a detailed itinerary to test, multiple route options to compare and accommodations to verify. The goal was simple. Ride the entire Portugal Grand Tour route in compressed form, take notes, capture footage and come back with a tour that's ready to roll next season. I started where the Andalusia tour had ended, Malaga. The first leg took me along the Mediterranean coastline through Marbella, who had stopped at the beach just days before. It was a last look at the Mediterranean. All the upcoming sea views would be of the Atlantic. The route went through Ronda, a place we'd spent time just days earlier. Ronda is one of Andalusia's most spectacular and historic towns, dramatically split by a 120-meter deep gorge carved through the heart of the city. The town's most famous landmark, the Puente Nuevo, the New Bridge, took 42 years to build and was completed in 1793, connecting the old Moorish quarter with the newer part of the city. I traced some of the roads we'd covered during the Andalusia tour, then took faster routes to finish the day right on the border of Spain and Portugal. I stayed in the Parador Hotel perched on the hill where I watched the sun set over the horizon into Portugal. The small border town of Ayamonte glowed in the golden evening light and I could see the bridge I would cross the following day into Portugal. The next morning I woke up to a beautiful day and crossed the border into Portugal's Algarve region. The goal was to test that transition from Spain into Portugal and see how the first day would feel for a group.
I don't know, super nice in the morning sun. The sun rises late. It is in the middle of October, so it didn't really get light here until like 9 in the morning.
I had 2 route options, curvy roads through the countryside or a ride closer to the coastline towards Faro. I chose the coastal route, but in hindsight the curvier roads through the interior would have been the better choice. It's one of those tweaks I'll be making to the final tour plan. The coastal road was busy with traffic and offered surprisingly few ocean views. Not what I was hoping for. So I pivoted and tested an inland option through the Serra de Monchique, where flowing mountain roads gave me a first real taste of what Portugal's interior had to offer. This was more like it. The Algarve delivers beautiful vistas, especially along the coastline, but you need to pick the right spots. Not all coastal roads give you those permanent ocean views. When you find them, though, it's worth it. Rugged headlands, dramatic coastal cliffs, and that raw Atlantic energy that makes every view feel alive. The first standout spot was Ponte de Alaya, right after I emerged from the mountainous interior. From there, the route took me up the Alentejo coast. It's on long empty roads that hug the coastline, though not always with the best views. You need to pick the right places to get the full ocean experience, which I did at this lighthouse. A dramatic spot that delivered exactly what I was looking for. My favorite section of the day came later. The winding mountain road through the Arabida Natural Park, where the forested cliffs drop straight down to the Atlantic beaches below. Okay, that looks really cool. The road, you can see how it sort of snakes along. It's very, very nice. The sun hung low in the sky as my riding day slowly came to an end in the small beach town of Coimbra. I woke up to a beautiful sunrise the next morning, giving me a first stunning view over the calm ocean. The route would take me north through the urban sprawl of Lisbon. I took fast motorways to clear the traffic in and around the city, crossing Lisbon's iconic bridge, a striking 2.3-kilometer suspension bridge painted in the same reddish orange as the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Built in 1966 and inspired by its American cousin, it's become Lisbon's most recognizable landmark, linking the city with Almada across the Tagus River. I carved along the curvy roads towards Cape Roca, the westmost point of mainland Europe. A lighthouse and a stone monument mark this dramatic spot where the cliffs stand 140 meters above the Atlantic. The views are incredible, and knowing you're standing on the edge of the continent draws large crowds of tourists. From Cabo da Roca, I headed north along the Atlantic coast towards Nazare. This stretch is all about the ocean, dramatic cliffs, long beaches, and that constant presence of the Atlantic on your left. The roads were smooth, the traffic was light, and the scenery was spectacular. Nazare is famous for its big wave surfing. Some of the largest waves in the world break just offshore, where the underwater Nazare Canyon funnels swells into monstrous walls of water that can reach over 30 meters. I arrived in the late afternoon and climbed up to the clifftop viewpoint near the famous Red Lighthouse. On the way in, I noticed a wall of low-hanging clouds moving in from the ocean. By the time I'd reached the viewpoint, the clouds had already swallowed the lighthouse. From a distance, it looked like a giant, slow-moving wave coming ashore. An eerie, beautiful sight and perfect timing to witness it. But also the reason I wouldn't see any surfers on this day. The ride from Nazare to Coimbra took me through curvy mountain backroads and small towns. Some of the curviest roads yet. The road surfaces and the conditions were surprisingly good, and I found myself grinning inside my helmet as the kilometers rolled by. I booked a hotel near Coimbra and arrived as the daylight had already faded. This day had delivered everything I hoped for and more. I am just a few kilometers west of Coimbra, shortly after 9 o'clock in the morning. And this is what it looks like. So there's still this fog covering this part. I'm heading up to Porto today, and it's gonna be all curvy roads. That's in the plan for today, so through the mountain ranges. My journey continued through the mountainous interior north of Coimbra. I found myself on lonely roads winding through endless forested areas. The trees caught my attention immediately, something I hadn't seen before in such vast quantities. Eucalyptus trees covered the mountains in every direction, creating endless corridors of tall, thin-stemmed trunks that reminded me of bamboo groves. Eucalyptus was introduced to Portugal from Australia in the mid-19th century for the paper and pulp industry. Today, Portugal has the largest area of eucalyptus plantations in Europe. These streets are controversial for many reasons, particularly the fire risk, something I would learn more about later in the tour when the landscape would tell a darker story. Then I rolled into Porto. Porto is one of those cities that just hits different when you arrive on a motorcycle. I picked one of the most amazing hotels of this tour, right next to the iconic double-deck metal arch bridge that spans the Douro River. The Ribeira district sprawls along the waterfront with its colorful buildings stacked like a postcard. It's stunning. I parked the bike, checked onto the hotel and spent the afternoon walking through the old town. The place was busy with tourists, especially around the bridge, but in a lively, energetic way that added to the atmosphere rather than detracted from it. This would be the rest day for the official tour, and I had half a day to experience Porto off the motorcycle and out of the heavy riding gear. Porto deserves time to explore on foot, taste the port wine in the cellars across the river, wander the narrow cobblestone streets and just soak it all in. I made notes on the hotel location, parking and the restaurant options, then watched the sunset over the Douro, painting the city in golden light. This journey starts out of a parking garage in Porto. It's a one-way street. We'll get a final view of the bridge. I mean, it is cool. Very, very cool. Day 5 was all about the Douro Valley and specifically the N222, the road that runs along the river. This road has a reputation and it lived up to every bit of it. Terraced vineyards, river bends and rider-perfect flow. The N222 is the kind of road where you just settle into the rhythm and let the bike dance. Smooth tarmac, sweeping corners and views that make you want to stop every few kilometers. The Douro Valley's wine country and the landscape reflects that. Every hillside is terraced, every bend in the river reveals another postcard view. After about 1.5 hours of riding east, my route turned back south into the mountainous interior. South of the Douro River, the landscape told a darker story. Burned forest areas stretched for kilometers. Scars from Portugal's devastating October 2017 fires, fueled by Hurricane Ophelia's winds and tinder-dry eucalyptus forests. The blackened trunks were still visible, a sobering reminder of what happens when extreme weather meets poor forest management. The final stretch of the day took me into the Serra da Estrela, Portugal's highest mountain range. The goal was to test different routes across the mountains, and the Serra da Estrela delivered. Long sweepers, dramatic elevation changes and big mountain scenery that reminded me of the Alps but with a distinctly Portuguese character. The roads were smooth, the traffic was non-existent and the views stretched for miles. I stayed at 1600 meters elevation, right in the heart of the mountains with nothing but stars and silence overhead. Day 6 took me deeper into Serra da Estrela. The goal was to test the route up to Torre, the highest paved point in Portugal at 1993 meters, and see how the mountain roads would feel for a group. The riding in this area was some of the best of the entire tour. As I approached the historical village of Piauião, a stunning traditional Portuguese village clinging to the mountainside with its distinct schist stone houses, I couldn't help but notice more burned forest areas. The Serra da Estrela had been scarred by devastating fires just a few years earlier. In 2022, during one of Portugal's worst heat waves on record, fires tore through over 28,000 hectares of the natural park. The combination of extreme heat, drought, strong winds and highly flammable eucalyptus plantations created the perfect conditions for a disaster. A stark reminder of how quickly these mountains can turn from paradise to inferno. Despite the scars, the ride through these areas was still enjoyable and scenic. The road conditions were surprisingly good, a positive surprise that the pavement showed no damage despite the intensity of the fires. I kept heading south through more curvy country roads as the scenery became less mountainous, eventually rolling into my final destination, Abrantes.
So I just left my hotel in Abrantes. It's a small town. I guess this is the old town part of it. I was just on a hill, on a small hill overlooking the city.
The final day in Portugal took me south through the countryside towards the Spanish border. The landscape was changing, getting drier as I rode, the color shifting from green to light brown and yellow. I was entering the Alentejo, Portugal's vast interior region known for its rolling plains, cork forests and scorching summers. I passed through another of Portugal's wine regions in the town of Estremoz, famous for its marble quarries. The white and pink marble for me has been used in Portuguese palaces and monuments for centuries. But the real highlight came next, Monsaraz. Monsaraz is one of Portugal's most spectacular hilltop villages, a medieval walled town perched 350 meters above the Alentejo plains with sweeping views over the Algarve Reservoir, Europe's largest artificial lake. The village is tiny, perfectly preserved, and it feels frozen in time. Whitewashed houses, narrow cobblestone streets, ancient castle walls, and not a single modern building in sight. The return route took me through the interior. Quiet back roads, not all curvy, cork oak forests with their distinctive reddish-brown striped trunks, and small villages where time seems to have moved slower. I crossed the border back into Spain at Barrancos, entering the Spanish Sierras, and I was immediately welcomed by curvier roads again. And for the first time on the tour, I saw some of the many Iberian pig farms.
The Iberico pigs, I've never really seen them in real life.
These black pigs feed on acorns during the autumn months, giving their meat their distinctive nutty flavor that makes Jamón Ibérico one of the world's most prized hams. I rode along the Aracena Reservoir before my ride ended in Aracena, a beautiful mountain town known for its famous caves and Jamón Ibérico production. I stayed in a hotel overlooking the 13th century hilltop castle, watching the evening light paint the forest walls golden. Eight days, nearly 3,000 kilometers, one country, and a route that exceeded every expectation. Portugal delivered. Wild coastlines, legendary roads, big mountain scenery, medieval villages, and that raw Atlantic energy that makes every view feel alive. The roads were smoother than expected, the traffic was lighter than hoped, and the diversity was absolutely incredible. Porto stood out as a highlight, confirming it as the perfect mid-tour rest day where riders can fully appreciate everything the city has to offer on foot, from port wine cellars to cobblestone streets and riverside sunsets. The Portugal Grand Tour is ready, and its final form is going to be the Grand Tour that kicks off the season. 13 days of riding that delivers everything: technical passes, flowing roads, cultural depth, incredible food and wine, and enough variety to keep even the most experienced riders grinning inside their helmets.